Hello, my name's Francis Briers, I'm the Rev, and I'm going to do my best to give a spiritual response to some questions today. The question I'm going to work with today was sent to me by someone I knew some years ago, and I feel very touched to have been asked this question actually, because it's a deep question that goes right to the heart of some of the, I think, most difficult things in life. So I feel touched to have been asked it, and trusted with the asking of the question. So here it is. We have our wonderful first son who is just about to turn 2. We are also expecting our latest arrival very soon. I worry how I will be able to love them both evenly and unbiasedly. Our first is the apple of my eye and was planned. The newbie was not planned and has come a lot sooner than we would have liked in the perfect world. We have lost babies, so feel very blessed to be in this situation. But I feel guilty. Guilty for not giving our firstborn more time to be just the 3 of us, and guilty because I was initially not excited about our new arrival. That's a tough one. I think anything in the realm of parenthood is as challenging as anything, as difficult as anything that life is ever going to throw at us. As many of you will know if you're parents, or may be able to have a kind of sympathetic resonance with if you're not, bringing a little person into the world and feeling like the person responsible for their life and their care in those early days is just the most awesome responsibility. And in my experience of it, and I'm relatively new to being a father, in my experience of it, it can bring the best out of me of feeling like what an amazing gift, and the worst out of me of kind of feeling like, oh my God, what a pressure. How do I deal with that? How do I not screw up? I'm just feeling deeply inadequate. So to address directly the questions within that, I'm going to kind of work backwards. So the first thing I want to address is feeling guilty because initially you weren't excited about the new arrival. I get that. I really get that. And I just kind of want to tell you that your feelings are not your fault. Feelings happen, they arise. A lot of that happens unconsciously, even physiologically. They arise and they leave us. We're not in control of our feelings most of the time. Maybe enlightened meditation masters, I don't know. But for most of us human beings, we're not in control of our feelings. So I'd really ask you to be gentle with yourself and just know you can't control not feeling excited about the new arrival. That's not in your control. Your actions thereafter, your actions based on those feelings, those are in your control. And my sense is from what you've written here is that you've now engaged with the new arrival and you are feeling excited now, and you're welcoming it and loving the opportunity and the gift, the blessing that this new child is. So that's the best that you can do. That's absolutely the best that you can do as a human being, in my experience and my judgment. So I just kind of I'd really love for you to let yourself off the hook. And while I'm speaking directly in response to this question, this person, any of the rest of you who are out there hearing this, have any resonance with it, please take it on board. Let yourself off the hook, please. Please. So, the second thing I want to address in there is feeling guilty about not having time to be just the 3 of you with the first one, the second one being unplanned and coming along a little quicker than you would have liked in the best possible world. I get that. Life is tough. I think it's the hardest thing to accept, and in some ways it's the truest thing we'll ever know as human beings. It's hard. And often it's hard because things happen that are way out of our control. We don't want it to happen that way, but that's what turns up in our life. And man, those curveballs that life throws us can be the toughest thing. And I guess to offer a kind of spiritual or soul perspective, again, I kind of want you to let yourself off the hook. That it's my belief, it's my faith that that we have each of us has a soul, and that soul exists before and after we're alive, and that soul is on some level making contracts, kind of making agreements with the other souls that it's going to come into being with. So somewhere out there, in other layers of existence and consciousness, these little ones, your first child who's here already, and the second child who may be here by now but is just on the way, they've made some kind of a deal, their soul to your soul direct, on a level that you're probably not aware of. They've made a deal, and this is what they've chosen. They've chosen the life they're going to have with you, whatever that might be. They've chosen that life. They've chosen you as parents. It's not all your fault. If there's any fault at all, it's not all your responsibility. They've chosen to come in. They've chosen to have this brother, this sister. And for me, the function of this, I don't know whether this resonates for you as a belief or something to take on board, but actually the function of having this idea just takes the weight off me a little bit. Like, it doesn't have to be all me. Like, the reality is the world happens. I'm not in control of all of it. I'm just not. There's some days I sort of wish I was, and there's other days I'm deeply grateful that I'm not in control of all of it. But I'm not in control of all of it. So just as equally, I can't take responsibility for all of it either. You know, there's an old saying in the spiritual development community of if you want to get the weight of the world off your shoulders, then stop thinking that you're in control. Stop thinking that you're in charge, because you're not in charge. And that's where, if you have a conception of God or a kind of higher being or spirit, a kind of beneficent being that has some kind of control of the universe, or holds the biggest picture, like, give it up to God a little bit, or spirit. Give it up to spirit. Like, it's spirit's responsibility too. Again, it's not all my responsibility. Spirit is taking a hand in this work as well, in this life. So hopefully that helps you just ease the pressure on you a little bit. And, you know, my wife, she's a psychotherapist, and my wife and I sometimes joke that we're not going to start a college fund for our kids, we're going to start a psychotherapy fund. Because as human beings, I've met some amazing parents, and their kids are still screwed up on some level. You know, like, they've still got emotional issues. Like, my parents were fantastic, and I've still got lots of stuff to work out. So I don't think it matters how good a job you do as parents, or what you do as parents. Your kids are still going to have some issues. Now, that's not an excuse to not try or to not do your very best to take care of them, but just, you know, maybe take the pressure off. They're not going to be perfect, whatever you do. Yeah. So finally, there's this thing of loving them equally and unbiasedly. And again, I get that. And I'd encourage you not to. Because they're not going to be the same person. There's often this idea in the modern world that equality means the same. And I don't think it does. To treat people equally, I don't think it means to treat them the same in terms of how I behave towards them. If I can love them unconditionally, if I can love both children or both people I'm dealing with, if I can really bring unconditional love to both of them, then I may treat them very differently. You know, this person may need challenge from me if I'm going to really acting in a loving and compassionate way. This other person may just need care and nurture and support. And children are just the same. You know, they come into the world as little personalities. That's my experience. They already come in with a fair amount formed, and they grow in ways that are like. Certainly with my son, I don't feel like I could possibly take credit or complete responsibility for the little being he's turning into. So, yeah, I would just I just encourage you to love them both unconditionally as best you can as a human being, knowing that you won't always do a perfect job of that, and also knowing that sometimes that means you'll treat them differently. Maybe that's okay, because if I treat everyone the same, then actually I homogenise them. I turn them into one kind of blurred mass of humanness. Whereas actually if I treat every single person uniquely, for the unique and beautiful person that they are, is that not the best possible way to welcome them and respect them in the world? To treat them as their own perfect, unique, individual self. So that's the offer I have, such as it is. I'm a new father myself. I don't have the answers. But I hope that the perspective that I offer here, the response I offer here, is of some use to you, all of you who watch this. And as ever, it's offered with love.